This video is dedicated to administrative data. What is administrative data? The following definition provides a first answer to this question. This is data containing information which is not primarily collected for statistical purposes. However, this definition remains quite abstract, so let's look at some examples of administrative data to better understand what this category covers. Statistics on certain groups of the population, such as persons currently unemployed or persons living in poverty, can come from administrative sources such as the Social Security Register. Administrations in charge of providing benefits to these populations, unemployment benefits, the minimum income benefit, have systems to manage these applications, which can be in paper or electronic format, and these administrative sources are then used to extract and process statistics on these groups. Similarly, schools or universities have lists of pupils or students, while the primary objective of these lists is for a specific school or university is to monitor the number of pupils and students so as to be able to organize their work, allocate teachers and classrooms. When this information is compiled at the national level for all the schools and universities in a country, it can be used to provide key statistics on the educational system. For example, variations in pupil-teacher ratios across different regions. A last example is that of a residence permit register. If you have already lived or traveled abroad, you may have already had to apply for a visa or a residence permit. These applications are usually managed by services in the Ministry of Interior or Ministry of Immigration and used to issue documentation to foreigners entering or staying in the country. The information in these databases can be used to generate statistics such as the size of the foreigner population or the number of newly arrived legal residents. Administrative sources are managed by administrative organizations, and many of the examples we have cited are public organizations. However, it can also be held by private actors, as we will mention in a minute. This administrative information can also be collected at different levels: local, regional, or national. Administrative data has key advantages, and this explains why it is more and more used for research purposes. For example, it provides unique information on certain topics, for example, the number and characteristics of beneficiaries of public programs. It also allows to have the complete coverage of the population we are studying, and we can analyze the cases of thousands and even millions of individuals. All of this is possible for a relatively low cost, as there are no specific costs related to data collection and only for statistical processing. However, when this data that is collected by administrations is used for statistical purposes, challenges arise. First of all, these sources only provide data and information on situation defined in legal texts. Therefore, it is extremely important to be aware of the conditions in these texts to access a benefit. For example, to receive a single parent benefit or to receive a residence permit, and more importantly, of the possible changes in order to correctly analyze and interpret the data. Secondly, the data collection is not carried out by data professionals, but agents who help fill out the forms, enter the personal information into the database, and they may not be as attentive to the quality of the information collected, to the coherence of responses to certain questionnaires, given their time constraints. This means that the information that we collect may have more often incoherent responses or missing data. Thirdly, this administrative data will have to go through statistical processing involving cleaning, creating new variables, analysis of the data. but some of the aspects of this process may be insufficiently documented or the documentation not available to external users outside of the administration. The same happens with data accessibility. In some cases, the data is collected only for internal processes and not available to external users. If shared with the wider public, often this is done in a predetermined format. For example, aggregate tables with only some variables. Access to microdata is becoming more frequent, but it also poses specific issues as it is important to ensure confidentiality as this type of data concerns personal sensitive information.